Gotta turn this on. Brian, all right. All right, grab a seat so we can rock and roll. You latecomers. I'm very close to the police force, so I got the names of people that were out after 2 last night. I will identify them in a second. Who went to bed by 9 last night? You old folks, yeah. Who went to bed by 10? All right, how about 11? Very good. 12? Now this gets good. 1? 2? All right, stand up, the 2s, will you? I'm not even asking for 3. All right. Don't go to their workshops today. So that's it. I just want to say each of you got on your chair a backpack for a present from us that says Big Picture Learning on here. And this was a student project. We have an entrepreneur center. He designed it. He cuts out out of what do you call it? Linoleum? Not linoleum. Linoleum block, and then prints each one individually. So he's not here this morning to give him kudos, but we'll wake him up by applauding, okay? Applaud. So thank you. You also might know yesterday in our Entrepreneur Center, our kids come up with businesses. We bring in what I call baby venture capitalists. They present their business plan. If it's good, they get funded. They get an office with their name on it. You can stop in that middle building we just built, and they start a business. This is a Big Picture soda business that's been going for 6 years here. It's in 37 different stores around town, including Whole Foods, all run by kids. They have their little cards. Sometimes they think they're principal, man. They have a little card that says director, head of media, head of selling. So when you drink this stuff, you'll know it's our kids. So don't drink it. No. And yesterday I announced Khalil, and he wasn't here. You know, these young Brown students, they sleep in a little bit. But this is Khalil. We have gone in partnership with the NBA. They've given the rights to all their pictures, all their things to produce, and we're producing it, a math hoops game. Khalil, you want to say 20 seconds?
Yeah.
That's why she gave it to you, man.
So we piloted in 2010 in 7 schools, and we saw amazing results. On average, students improved. I don't really need a microphone. On average, students improved 51% in their math skills after our 10-week curriculum, and we're going to be launching nationally in the fall. So I'll be around the next couple of days. I'll also have a workshop at 9:15 tomorrow. If you're interested in learning about math, we're trying to make math fun and culturally relevant.
Great, thank you. All right, you can take your nap now. Now, you all notice my shoes. That these are my shoes that I wear. I actually wear them with a suit, yes, when I wear a suit to like a wedding. And Ashley, come on up for a second. Ashley's saying, those shoes are awesome, man. She says, I'm going to take a picture of those. My mom won't believe me. I'm going to send the picture home. You haven't come on up. You haven't taken a picture yet of my shoes. How come?
Well, because I haven't had time.
You haven't had time? But I had some time last night. And I went out and bought you your own shoes, Ashley. Woo!
Thank you.
All right. You know when you got that call saying what your shoe size is from one of your people? That's why.
Asking just because I have like size 11 feet.
I know, you know. I didn't want to tell everybody. Well, thank you and enjoy them.
Thank you.
Now you don't need a picture. We're going to start now with our student, as we always start. Oh, yeah, we're not going to start with our student. We're going to have Pick Me Up. Where's Ken? Come on, let's go. Thanks, Gary.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Keep applauding for me. Keep applauding. Okay. Good morning. An important part of what we like to do at Big Picture Schools and our school especially is we like to do pick-me-ups. And pick-me-ups are really fun ways to get a little bit energized and excited for the day and excited for learning, just like we will be. And right now, Brian, if you could put up my phone number. That is my phone number. Right now, everybody take your cell phone out. Cell phone, I'm sure you have one. Take it out, turn up the volume all the way, especially so if you receive text messages. Turn up the volume all the way up, so that if it goes off, you will hear it, and other people might hear it. Everybody got that? Really do this. Yep. This is happening. This is what is happening right now. I want you guys to text that number. Text that number, and you can put whatever, right, Big Bang. Text that number, Big Bang, to that number. Okay, I'm going to continue talking while you're texting. I'm an advisor, so I'm used to having people text while I talk. Thank you. I should be, yes, my phone is blowing up. Nice, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to tell you a little bit about commitment and support and belief. And that's so important for what we want to do with these kids. We want them to be committed. Yes, this is happening. We want kids to be committed, supported, believed in at all times, and we can model that within this pick-me-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to text one of y'all back randomly, and I'm going to tell you to do something. I'm going to give you a command, and then you're going to do it. It might be something as simple as, stand up. That's the one I'll start with. And I'll text somebody. It'll say, stand up. If you hear somebody receive that text, also, if you're watching on a webinar, don't text me. This will not work. If you have texted me on the webinar, whatever. I'm going to text a command. If you see somebody receive a text and then do something, you do it too. Immediately. Support, commitment, believe. You do it too. Just like you see a kid who needs help, boom, you're right there, you support. If our students get that immediate support and trust and belief right away, we commit to them, just like you're going to commit to each other in just this little small room right now. They will succeed at a level that you have never dreamed of. Okay, everybody's texted me so far, correct? All right. And then now I'm not going to talk. I'm going to have my back to you. I'm trying, you guys. I believe it said cheer for yourselves. Cheer for yourselves. Very nice. That was quick. Thank you. Thank you. I'm Ken Keach, Lafayette Big Picture.
Okay. Thank you. This could be dangerous. Imagine if you texted kids, school's out, or something like that. Teacher standing there trying to do a good job. Let me get this off here. So now we have this morning's student. And after a happy pick-me-up, I have to start on a not happy note, and it's just coincidental, and it's part of the life of a school. But a week ago Monday, we had 3 of our alumni shot and killed. So as you can imagine, it's been a pretty tough week with funerals from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And even tougher is they were in an apartment, a boyfriend, girlfriend, their kids who didn't get shot, and a friend, and somebody came in and killed all 3 of them. And it turns out that our speaker, Lewis, who's getting the award, is best friends with one of the boys, Michael. And so we talked to him if he wanted to give the speech, not wanted to give the speech. It's been a pretty heavy thing when you really develop a family like we do. And they were in the advisory together, and what's happened has been an incredible, grieving, upsetting week where you have kids asking, you know, I believed in God, what happened now? Another kid who was there an hour before. So that's all. It's part of life. It's horrible. And it just happened that Lewis was the speaker. So he's going to start with that, and then we'll move on. So let's give a hand to Lewis, please. I got to turn it on, Lewis. Hello. You got it, baby.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Of course, you know, Doc just started my speech with a bad note, but hopefully I get ended, you know, in a good note. First of all, you know, I would like to thank everybody for being here. I would like to, you know, give a special shout out to a good friend of mine who, you know, passed away last Monday. His mother, his father, Mr. S, who I known for years since elementary school. He was Michael's mentor as well. My family, Janet, you know, who's been here for me, you know, since high school. She's like a family member to me now. And so, yeah. I would like to start off, you know, I came from a long way. I came from Guatemala when I was 4 years old. As you can imagine, it wasn't easy. You know, I came here as an immigrant. Started elementary school as a bilingual student. And, you know, obviously for somebody who's coming from another country, it's not easy, you know, going from one language to another. Took me, you know, a good 4 or 5 years to get my English where it needed to be. I went my whole elementary school as a bilingual student. Then middle school, you know, my 5th grade teacher, she told me, you know, your English is where it needs to be. She put me, you know, in regular classes in middle school. I went to Perry Middle School near where I live now, and it was a tough neighborhood at the time. The school was closed down because I'm pretty sure, you know, funds had a lot to do with it, but I'm pretty sure it being a bad school probably had a lot to do with it too, so they closed it down. I graduated from Perry, and then I came here. I wasn't supposed to come to the Met. I was supposed to go to Mount Pleasant, and like a week before orientation started, I got the call, are you still interested in coming to the Met? I was like, of course. I came to orientation. 9th grade started. I was, you know, excited. You know, it's the Met, as a lot of you know, it's not the same as any other high school. My freshman year, I had my first internship at Rhode Island Hospital. Since, you know, before 9th grade, my family always instilled in me that they wanted me to be a doctor. But that's the good thing about the Met, that with the internships, you start seeing from young if that's your dream, if that's what you really want to be. I went to like I said, freshman year, Rhode Island Hospital. My next 2 years at the Cancer Center at Memorial Hospital. I worked with doctors, nurses, managers, everybody. I did a lot of presentations in front of doctors. I know a lot of you are probably advisors, teachers, principals, but like when I did my presentations was just like this in front of doctors. And my third year, I started realizing junior year that wasn't my dream. I started, I was going to the hospital direction, then I started taking a slight right turn and noticing that that's not what I wanted to be. Back then, I was always into, fashion, sneakers, and I always had that mentality, I want to open my own sneaker store. So senior year, I had my internship at Save On Shoes in Pawtucket, and it was a good experience, graduated from the Met. Went to college, my freshman year in college, I was on entrepreneurship, and went the whole year and noticed that, that's not what I wanted to do either. Spoke to some advisors, they guided me, and they helped me, find my real dream, which was computer graphics. I went to college over 4 years, graduated from Johnson & Wales, and, thank you. Graduated from Johnson & Wales as a computer graphic major, and that's what I'm doing now. So like I said, that's a good thing about the Met, because what if I would have went to college still thinking I wanted to be a doctor, spend all that tuition money, me thinking I wanted to be a doctor, and then maybe my second, third year, decide to change it, it would have been bad. When I changed it, I went entrepreneurship my whole first year. What helped me was that a lot of those credits was able to, transfer to my computer graphics. So, that's, a brief short story about my life. It wasn't easy, but, I made it thanks to the help of my family and my loved ones. So, I'd like to thank everybody for being here, and that's my speech.
Stay up there, stay up there.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Janet Villanueva Williams. I am Lewis's advisor for all his 4 years at the Met School. I currently am the building leader for Justice, and I've been doing this 5 years now. I wanted to give you a little picture of Lewis and how it was for me being his advisor, but also a message that I want to say to you. So something captured my attention, and you see these little simple messages, but I thought of the Met, and I thought of big picture when I saw this. Happiness is to love and be loved, and I was like, that's us. We are definitely, try not to get emotional, we are definitely that community. That's why I continue on doing this job and this work. I am very close to Lewis and my advisory, and we definitely experienced a real difficult week this past week to lose one of our advisory mates. It was hard. But what I know is that this experience in itself, it definitely made a difference in Michael's life. It's definitely made a difference in Lewis's life. So, we exist to definitely help our students realize what they can be, what they want to do, and they go and pursue it. To see Lewis come in as a 9th grade student, he was labeled. He was in middle school thought of as, oh, you're in a gang. Under his clothes, he has tattoos. People may think, oh, you're in a gang. No, he's a college-educated young man who's making a difference, and he also finished college while raising a son, and that's his son over there, Armani. So at the start of his college experience was when his son was born, and I'm really proud of Lewis. And, you know, there were some challenges academically that he had and when he came into the Met, but one of the things that he was really good at was his, you know, he was really committed. And he was very determined to do really good at the internships. And I believe that gave him that confidence that he needed to feel like, wow, I can accomplish so much. I mean, to be able to stand in front of doctors who took time out of their lunch, or and I remember they would sit there to hear about this, the project that Lewis created. And in 10th grade, what he ended up doing was, at Memorial Hospital, they were transitioning from going from paper copies or using paper to using the digital system. So he taught that to the doctors, which was incredible to do that in the 10th grade. And, you know, he's doing amazing. I frequently talk to him. He's doing all this freelance work for local businesses. And, you know, it's something that I see, so I feel so proud of him because I know he's doing what he loves. And that's what we all want to do, right? What we love to do. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of Big Bang.
So as we give the award, Brian, you can put me on. As we're giving the award, Michael said to me yesterday as we met at lunch that he'd like to dedicate this award to Michael and his family, so I'd like everyone, come on up. Mentor too, come on. Help him out, Brian. You want to read the thing? All right. Yeah.
I don't have a mic. There you go. All right. Well, this award, Alumni Award, is to you, Lewis. So we'd like to present that to you, and thanks for your words today. Absolutely, very.
Like I said, I would like to thank, Debbie, Mike, Janet, Al, my mom, my dad, my son, my brother, and my sister, and my girlfriend. Sally ain't here; she's at work. But I dedicate this in Michael's name and his honor. And I don't want to leave the other two people who died neither. I knew them as well. One of them was, my girlfriend's cousin. The third person, I played basketball with him in the same basketball team here, in the Met. But, Michael, like, I chilled with him all the time, so it hit close to home. So, this is to honor Michael's name. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, the incredible thing is you heard Ashley yesterday, you heard Lewis today, and you'll hear other students. I mean, the plus of all this is that you develop a family. And I'll just save this later in my speech, but Big Picture was selected as one of 15 innovations in the world that they're highlighting in this book that's coming out in October. And they sent a reporter, a writer from London. And she spent a day here, and then the next day we had a staff development day, and I asked her to just give some feedback, not knowing what she'd say. And she stood up and she said, in my 40 years of being a journalist, I had never heard in one day the word love mentioned as much as it was at our school. And it was kids saying they love their advisor, their advisee, saying this is a second home, a first home for some kids. Same with teachers saying they love their group, they love being here. So it just made me very proud. And when I see this family stuff, when I see that Lewis won the award about 6 weeks ago, and and the kind of family support and the mentors here who had mentored Michael, who just feels that kind of commitment, just makes me feel that's part of the perspective we get. So I thank you. I guess when stuff happens like this for me, I mean, it tears me apart as it tears all of you apart. But then I try to step back and really get a perspective and figure out what does it mean. And it makes me start thinking, what's important in life? You know, is it a student's attitude? Is it a student's perseverance? Or is it those two more math problems? Now, I'd like both, but we can't always do both. And it makes us spend a lot of time thinking about when we graduate kids, I say I'm still in charge of them until they get older than me, okay? We give them a little alumni cards. They're still part of it. I don't care. We don't just send them off and that's it. We used to have, we haven't done lately, a lot of our families are single-parent families, and when the student would go off to college, it would leave the mom home alone. It was like the best friend leaving. So we had empty nest meetings where I'd bring in moms, and we just talk about what it's like living when your kid's out there. Because what happens is, when a kid calls home, Mom, I just flunked the test, I'm not doing too well, the moms were saying, come on home, honey, I need you. When I called home and said, Mom, I flunked the test, my mom hung up on me. You ain't going nowhere, boom. And so we try to encourage the parents to do that. And again, it's just, it is that on what's important. And it's, I lost my book here, there it is. And it's kind of, you talk about both the intellectual and the emotional. And we got to do both. We can't just concentrate on one. And in my book, well, Dewey's quote is my favorite. I've been quoting him a lot. And education is not the preparation for life. Education is life itself. Keep thinking about that. Don't be playing school. Don't be pretending, oh, I got to do this school. Education is life. That's what it's important about, okay? And back when I wrote my book, I start out, page 1, the book, Brian, talks about what are really the important goals. Be lifelong learners, to be passionate, to take risks, to be creative, to persevere, to have integrity, to have moral courage, and truly enjoy their life and their work. So that to me is what's important. And this is not, I said yesterday also, this is not new. Ellie and I didn't make this up yesterday for Big Bang, okay? Dewey was saying this stuff in the 40s. Holt was saying this stuff, you'll see his quote, in the 50s. And when I was at my school in New Hampshire, I was fired, by the way. How many people have been fired here? Raise your hand, proudly. Now, how many really been fired? Come on. All right, there we go. About 10 more hands come up. You see some hands going like this. Well, I seem to get fired everywhere I go, but that's all right. And the reason is because I've not compromised at all. I know what I believe in. I know what's important for kids. You know that. And I go to an extreme in fighting for that and saying, this is who I am. This is what I believe in. And that last time I got fired, interesting thing happened. It started causing all kinds of, because I had a reputation as a good principal, people started saying, oh my gosh, this guy's being fired. And I was being fired because there was an internship program. I don't want to scare people. It was a very conservative community in New Hampshire. So somebody went out and did a book called Doc, the Story of Dennis Littky, and this Fight for a Better School. I will tell this quick story. So who enjoys it the most? That they're writing a book, but my mom, right? Like she didn't think they'd really write a book about her little boy, Denny. And so they live in California. Every Sunday I talk to my mom and dad, and I'd say, Mom, they wrote a book about me. And she'd say, yeah, when's it out? And I sent her the cover. This is the cover of the book. And she was waiting, and I think she thought I made up the cover. And then one night I say, Mom, the book is out. And so, like any good mom, she dressed up the next morning. She tells me the story. Monday morning, goes to the corner bookstore in L.A. and says as loud as she can, hey, they wrote a book about my son called Doc. She didn't even look. She just wanted everyone to hear that. And the guy went in the back room, and he comes back, with this book, Doc, which is about a rapist in Utah. It was a medical doctor who was raping his patients. This made the bestseller list. My mom read my book, by the way. And I called the publisher and said, you guys, we're in trouble, man. So they changed in the paperback. They called it Teacher. They didn't want to, a little nervous about that. So then what happened is NBC made a movie about this battle. And I don't know if you guys are old enough to have watched L.A. Law, but Michael Tucker from L.A. Law played me. And I'm going to show a little clip because this is 80, 90. This was done like 30 years ago. And this is a scene where they're interviewing me for the job. Not me, it's Michael Tucker, who thinks he's me, by the way. What happened after the movie? He got invited to speak to all the LA principals. He called me and said, what am I going to say? I said, why are they inviting you? You just played me in the movie, but this is a little scene, and I just want to reinforce that these ideas are not new. They've been around, so.
Maybe we could ask Dennis some of the same questions.
What's your stand on dress code?
For me or for the kids?
Seems in your case we mean both.
Folks, what you see is what you get. Look, I know some of you have seen me walking around town. You know how I dress. For me to come in here with a tie and a coat on looking for a job would seem pretentious. A good principal moves around a lot. You want to be comfortable.
What about discipline? Where do you stand on shaping these kids up?
With all due respect, Mr. Wininski, I don't think it can be, these are the rules, you got to follow them, or I'm going to come down on your head. I think a much better approach is to create an atmosphere in which the kids don't want to raise hell. You know, if a kid feels really good about himself, he wants to learn. The more he wants to learn, the less you have to worry about discipline.
The bottom line for me is the kids need to learn their basics.
Absolutely, the basics are important.
I want them to be able to spell the name of the damn town. Can't spell, must be from Thayer.
Yeah, but you can't teach anything, including the basics. If a kid doesn't want to be in school, you have to change that.
How?
By building a school where learning makes sense to them, where it has something to do with their lives. Kids should learn to think for themselves, to use their minds well. Then it's the school's job to help them get excited about learning something. Okay, how? We have to find a way to hook in each individual kid. We have to find a way to turn that key. Then just stand back. Watch the excitement grow. I want every student that graduates from Thayer to be strong enough to be able to stand up and speak for what he or she believes in. I want everyone to have his own voice. I want everyone to have his own chance.
You can cut it, Brian.
It seems, Dennis, Dr.
You can cut. Who's better looking, me or him? Who better looking, me or him? Thank you. I was going to talk for an extra hour if I got the wrong answer. Now, the interesting thing is, here, Andre. I now went out and copied the movie illegally so I can really get famous. Put my own pictures on here. Put this is for educational use only, but I have DVDs, so they can pass out some now. You can stop by and get them if you want. Don't get caught with them, though, man. Because you, too, will be. Give some to the back there. Any in the back here? Michelle, you almost ready? This is bad, man. To show you how bad my teachers are, this is Michelle, one of the teachers here. Jody, will you stand? So they wanted to mess with Michelle's head. And she's, been here just a couple years. And they went to Michelle and said, Doc wanted you to speak tomorrow for 20 minutes. They didn't tell me. She got all nervous. And they told me, by the way, in case she says anything. And this is yesterday. This morning they tell me. They continued, didn't tell her. She was up all night, worried, doing a speech. Michelle, this is a joke. You ain't giving no speech. Thank you for staying up all night and preparing them. So, this is a quote. This is a quote also back from the 50s. We do things backwards. We think in terms of getting a skill first, then finding useful and interesting things to do with it. The sensible way, the best way. Start with something worth doing, and then move by a strong desire to do it. Get whatever skills are needed. It ain't so hard, okay? And here's examples. You know, we had a kid that I'll just give a bunch of little examples, who had talked to me one day and said, you know, he was adopted at like, I think it was 1 month from Nicaragua, and came to this country. And never knew his family, didn't know if his family really knew him. So he worked a project where he was taking computers to Nicaragua. We knew taking computers to Nicaragua. Why'd you pick that? He took the computers to Nicaragua, traced down his family, found his father. His mother had died. He walked in the house. He just walked up, knocked on the door, and said, "I'm Alex." And there was a picture of him when he was like 2 months old in the house, and he didn't even think they knew him. This was something that was so important for the kid. He was taking something that was so important to him and studying Nicaragua, doing the computer program, then studying his family, and he ended up calling back and staying down there for a few more weeks to get to know the family. That's a real project. I showed you the soda you were drinking. That's a real project. This kid, Joe, who was studying Vietnam, came to me, and we were talking about it, and he had a mentor where he did a monument. He took a class at Providence College on the Vietnam War. He then took a summer class after his junior year with professors Professor Brown, who was teaching teachers how to teach the Vietnam War. And he said to me one day, you know, we were talking, I said, "Why is this so important?" And all of a sudden his face goes blank. You know, and he said, "From the time I was 5 years old, I would ask my dad to talk to me about the war." His dad was a veteran. And his dad would turn around and walk away. For Joe's senior project, he took his dad, Joe Sr., and himself to Vietnam. Okay? And all of a sudden, his dad opened his drawer, showed his medals. The kid, for a project, did a website on how kids can talk to their family about war. That was something he was passionate about. You know, and then there's a kid, sometimes it doesn't work. Like Lewis thought he'd be a doctor, and then he said, "I don't like this stuff." You know, there was a kid that I met yesterday who definitely wanted to be a teacher. And she went out and did her internship, found out she hated kids. This ain't for me. They're horrible. I hate them. Get me out of this field. You know, or Jackie, who, this is one of my embarrassing ones, who decided to study Tupac. How many people think he's alive? So, all right, good, man. And I remember the exhibition. And usually about 10, 15 people come to the exhibition. This filled the room. There were like 40 people in the room because she was talking about Tupac. And I went in there, and I'm a little nervous, you know, Tupac for 9 weeks, man. And the parents were sitting there. I sat back so they couldn't see me. And she starts talking about all his words. She knew every word from his songs, comparing words, kids commenting. It was one of these very powerful exhibitions in which I snuck out before the end so I didn't have to talk to the parent. But a year later, when I walked by Jackie, I looked on her screen, and she was planning a trip to South Africa where she was meeting Nelson Mandela, a peace trip. She then set up a first peace conference in Rhode Island. So we couldn't have started her there. All she cared about as a 14-year-old with Tupac. But rather than saying, forget him, we started working with him. He had a lot of heavy words, smart man. And then started saying, you know, there's this other dude, Malcolm X, you should read. Oh, you know, there's this guy, Nelson Mandela. And then she was ready. So it's like Elliot was saying yesterday. You listen, you find that passion. And then all those skills will come after that. There's the girl that was definitely wanted to be a hairdresser. By the time she got done her internship, she went to college to be a social worker. Okay? Which is part of hairdressing, right? So, I know. So the thing about school is, they did this big survey of high school students and asked them, what's one word that describes high school? And that word is? The sad part is we know it, okay? And we still do it, okay? So you're trying to make your place not boring. You're trying to engage your students. You're trying to find stuff that they love. And, you know, this is the part I can't understand. Because some people call us, oh, you're so far out in what you're doing. It's what we do in life. We don't do things we don't like. If we hate playing tennis, we don't get up every morning and play tennis. If we love romance novels and hate mysteries, we don't read mysteries. We read romance novels. By the way, how many people will admit they read 50 Shades of Grey here? Come on, come on. Come on, a little more. All right, well, we'll see. I'm going to test people a little later. So, and there's the difference between doing real work and fake real work. See, that got the most conversation, man. You read it? Tell me about it. Oh, you read it? This afternoon we'll have lunch by one person that read it at each table. On page 46. No. So it's about real work. When the kids develop a business, I mean, the kid that was doing the backpacks, you think he could have slept in Tuesday and said, oh, they're not done? No, he had to be here. Every hour he had to be here because it was real. They had to be passed out. So one of my teachers in my school in New Hampshire ran this election project because in New Hampshire, presidential candidates come by even little high schools like mine 3-4 times. And she had our students registering people in town. And she really studied the candidates, knew the percents of people who vote, poor people versus rich people, had the kids going out canvassing. They made me dress as Uncle Sam at the town dump where everyone hung out on Sunday in my town. And when she got done, she said, it's incredible. Everyone did amazing. Everyone showed up on Saturday. Everyone did their homework. It was incredible. And then her next unit was around travel. And if you walked in the room and you looked, the kids were all engaged. They were all planning a trip someplace. So that's how she was learning her geography. And so you guys were going to the Bahamas. You guys were going to California. You guys are going to Canada. Where's that Canadian group? Just kidding. No one's going. Just kidding. And then when the unit got done, she said, you know what? Kids didn't do so well on that unit. They didn't hand in work. You know why? They didn't get to go on the trip. It wasn't real. It looked real. They didn't go to the Bahamas. So it's like, looked good. It looked like a hands-on group. It's like, I went to the science school in New York, and they're testing Coke or Diet Coke. One of them sinks in water, and one doesn't. And it looked good. They were showing me, look at this. But it didn't mean anything. So find that meaning in the kids. Listen to the kids. And again, I'll say, keep stepping back and say, am I playing school or am I doing what's right? Am I doing, if my kid was in my school, in my class, would I like what this is doing? Would I like what's going on? Am I paying attention? That's what we have to do. And then when we do it, we always use the term rigor, relevance, and relationship. You need that relationship. Kids aren't going to learn until they feel respected. Okay? The relevance is relevance to them. And the rigor is we got to go deep. And that's what the whole conference is about. It's the same thing in college. Do you know if you're a first-generation student, doesn't matter what color, graduate high school and start college, 89% of you drop out. Something's wrong. And that's why I went and started college, because they're not engaged in college. They just do the work. If you ask college kids, they love the swimming team or the newspaper or their dorm, not their courses. And that's why we engaged our kids and we reversed that. That's not hard. You can get 89% to stay in if you put them in real work. So that's what you got to keep thinking of. This is my favorite. A friend of Elliot's was a craftsman and was, I think, showing how he developed his craft. And when a bunch of principals looked at it, they said, you know what? This is like, it's like Michelangelo said. When Michelangelo saw a piece of granite, he saw what was in there. He could picture that. So you got to think about the kids inside here. When they come in 9th grade or new to your school and are very weird and very babyish and very jerkish, you know that in there there's somebody cool. And it's your job to keep chipping away. And that's the 10th grade, that's the 11th grade, and then you get them ready to swim away. So that's what's important. You're not trying to teach them this fact or this fact. You're trying to inspire them. You're trying to take away all this stuff to bring out who they really are. And then, you know, it was the love thing I was talking about. And there's a great quote by Che Guevara. I think. Great quote by Che Guevara. At the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me say that the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love. Because it's that passion. You know, it may not be the right thing or the wrong thing. It's the passion and the love and the commitment that Elliot and I have, that you have, that Big Picture has, that drives us on. So, but here's the beauty of Big Bang for me. I always get inspired by the people here. Because what I think happens is it's this match, okay? We find people who are ready to go out there, committed to the whole design, parts of the design, and go do it, be it Canada, New York, wherever. And that's very exciting for us. For you guys, many of you find all of a sudden, hey, I've been alone. Now I see other people that think like me. That's fantastic. One woman who I was doing my one-on-one with said, where were you guys when I was in school? Okay? And she said, it's so exciting to find other people that are talking the same language. So it really is, I talk about as a match made in heaven, that's the power of a network. But I want to make sure the match is kept in heaven because, Brian, the next picture. This is a Big Bang baby. That's why I say the matches need to stay in heaven. This is, the parents wrote us a letter. They met here from the Netherlands. And they sent this to us as the kid was talking. My mom, Emma, is a principal in Heversum. My father's name is Bert. He was the LTI coordinator in Rotterdam. They married the same year, September 19th. On April 26th, I was born. This is what I call the real one kid at a time mentality, don't you think? So let's keep the match in heaven. And then here's how I'm ending. In my book, who many of you have gotten, if you haven't gotten, you can come see me. At the end of the book, I have Dennis's bookshelf because I am an avid reader from all kinds of books. And I list about 50, 60 books, from children's books to other books that I think are important. And when I was looking through my book again, I decided to share those with you. And not only am I going to say a word about them, but I'll give them out. So this one's Tuesday with Morrie. How many people read Tuesday with Morrie? So this is an important book for me. It's about Morrie, who's dying, and one of his students, who was a student of his in college, who's now a reporter, who talked with him through his death. And it's a very powerful book about how to look at life rather than look at death. And I'm going to give these to, this is Allison, by the way, who works with College Unbound, and Andre. And who would like Tuesday with Morrie? And then there's the John Dewey book, okay? That I brought two of those because this is 90 pages. It's hard to read. He wasn't a great writer, but it's very, very powerful. I read it over and over again every year, my underlines. He was saying this stuff a long time ago. So who wants one here? There we go, right there. There we go. We got to get some back there. We'll get him running back. This is the geranium on the windowsill just died, but teacher, you went right on. And it's a kid's book, a brilliant, devastating, chilling child's eye portrait of the ordinary day in an ordinary school. And it's through a kid's point of view. He's saying things like, it's September again, not breathing, shivering, as far from your desk as I can get, pretending I'm not here, happy you won't call on me. And it goes on, but it's very important. You're like, you sat up front, so you get that one. All right. This is a guy, if somebody can, is his name on there? Oh, yeah, you can't see it, so that's good. Anybody want to see if they can you spell this guy's name? Yeah, you raised your hand because you wanted the book, but you can't spell it. Nice try, man. But you can say it. Csikszentmihalyi is kind of how he talks. He pronounces his name. And we've all heard the concept flow. And this is what, when we talk about engagement, this is what you want. You want the child to be totally in to what they're doing, that they don't realize what they're doing. Their intellect, their emotion are all together. I had a kid at a board meeting one day, and he was talking. He said, wait a minute, I can't believe it. I was up till 2 a.m. doing homework, and no one told me to do it. That's in the flow. And then he wrote a book called Becoming an Adult, which is also very important. And it says, the way to become an adult thinker is to study anything. Doesn't matter. But study it deeply. And so I thought that's very important. So here's a flow. Raise your hand if you want a flow. Give some love to the back there, will you, Andre? And then this is the first book that was written about us. A student and a postdoc at Harvard wrote me a letter and said, I'd like to come do research. And his best line was, I'll work for free. And then he became an advisor. And he wrote this book, which is day-to-day life in the school, a lot more detail. Mine's more stories and philosophical. This goes through the whole days. So somebody raise their hand. This is my book. Who hasn't gotten my book yet? All right, give a couple of those. I'll give more. I get them for free. No. This is the book Drive by Dan Pink. How many have read Drive or The Whole New Mind? He's a board member of ours. Great writer. He's about to come out with another work. This has been on the bestseller list for a while. And he really talks about the kind of learning is not about, grades don't help learning. Reinforcement doesn't help learning. They help on little tasks. It's the intrinsicness. It's the giving the people autonomy, giving them a purpose, and then letting them master it. That's what he talks about. And in here, he talks about 5 schools in this country that do it, and he starts with us. So I collect all books that start with us, man. So that's Drive. Start selling them, man. Andre, it's tough, huh? Have we been ignoring a side of the room? That woman right there is getting disgusted. The woman with the hat on getting disgusted. Come stand up here for the rest of my speech. Come on, get up here. Give her some book. I don't care what book it is. Come on close. This is called Unschooling Rules. Don't know the guy, wrote to him, but it's fantastic. And he just read, and it's a great book to use if you wanted to also study, because everything is like one page. He's got 50 rules. Like one is, what a person learns in the classroom is how to be a person in the classroom. You know? Animals are better than books about animals. And then he writes a page about that. Include meaningful work. And we don't even know the guy. This is my favorite one. Who's read a textbook for pleasure lately? It's crazy. You have? I'd keep my hand down if I was you. Take them off the list next week. But one of his things is read what normal people read. Okay? So you don't have to take this book. These are the ones left. You can decide. You want to come look and see which ones yet? You got a movie. What are you complaining about? She turned around. You can't take it yet, but keep them in order, will you?
Okay, I will. I promise. You're making me messed up.
I'm making you messed up. All right. And hurry up, get off stage, man. This is The Horse Whisperer, okay? The movie's not very good. The book is fantastic. And what's fantastic about it, there was this guy that's just like Big Picture. The way people train horses is they smack them around. That's what they do. They're dumb horses, man. You smack them around. He talked to his horses. I've seen it done. He would take wild horses and just listen to them and feel them and talk to them and train them. And you know what? No one believed it. And you know what? When people came to his place, did you take it? You're not taking it, but you're just making sure I don't give it away. Now sit back now. So the beauty, even when people saw what he did, they still didn't believe it, which is kind of like our schools in a way. People come and they see it and they see these amazing kids. Yeah, but I don't believe it. So this is a very beautiful book. The next book is Horace's Compromise. Our dear friend and mentor, probably 20 years ago, maybe 30, maybe 40, put out a series of books, and this is by Ted Sizer. And this is a book really saying that what happens with teachers, and Elliot showed it in one of his slides, they compromise with their kids. You don't act up in class, I'll be nice to you and pass you. You know, I have kids that come here who took algebra in the 8th grade who said, I got no clue anything. My teacher just said, if you sit here quietly, do your work and hand in your work. So this is a very beautiful book. This one I'm going to show the little book. Anyone know Zoom? All right, this is This is a big picture book. It's got no words. I'm going to flash it up there. You got to watch it. But it's starting with something up close. Okay? Now watch it. It's a camera going back, back, back. And that's what we have to do. You're on the ground. You're working there, but you got to keep stepping back. So run it through. Imagine a camera stepping back. So it's not always what it looks like, you know, and you got to step back. Who would like this beautiful book? Zoom, there we go. Tipping Point. My last 2 books. She gets it. Don't even bother. Put the hand down, man. The beauty about this book is it talks about you work, you work, you work. There's a point, and then all of a sudden, everything happens. There are shoes called Hush Puppies that were sold in Maine to guys like me 40 years ago, and they sold about 100 a year when people would come into this town in Maine. Well, there happened to be 2 handsome models who were vacationing in Maine, bought the shoes, wore them down the runway in New York. All of a sudden, 1 million shoes were sold. You know, and they had done their work. And I'm hoping for big picture that as we increase, as we get each school that begins to develop and does a great job on the ground, all of a sudden it hits a tipping point and the world's saying, this way works. All right, you may go back to your seat now. All right. And my last book is also one of my favorites, called The Long Haul. And it's a friend of ours, Herb Cole, who interviewed Miles Horton, who trained Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, is a pretty incredible guy. And he kind of talks about learning and training in the way we do. And I'm just going to read a piece from the end as I finish up. He says, a long-range goal to me is a direction that grows out of loving people, caring for people, and believing in people's capacity to govern themselves. That's the key. Believing in people. I haven't even finished and you're raising your hand. Jesus. Caring for people and believing in people's capacity to govern themselves. That's how you got to think about kids. Our commissioner one day came in, it was one of the first days of school, and said that, and was watching our school, and he was smart enough to say, you know what? You truly trust kids. It's nice to say you trust kids. It's another thing to truly trust them and believe. The way to know they have these capabilities is to see something work well on a small scale. I've seen it in the labor movement, I've seen it in the civil rights movement, I've seen it in the anti-war movement. Since I know these things can happen on a small scale, and that's what we think about in each of your school. Detroit's just beginning to do some work. New Jersey's expanding. In that small scale, if that can happen, he assumes that we ever get wise enough and involve enough people, it could happen on a larger scale. So I want to say to you, hi. I want to just finish and say, this is our group. You're the next generation of people that are carrying this flag. This is a movement that's been going on for 17 years. It's going to go on for another 17 years. And whatever's going on in the times, we stay clear to our design. And I just applaud you all for being here. I thank you for being here. And I say, really, you are the ones. If the people in this room in August 2012 aren't the people that are going to be carrying the flag and doing the job on the ground, nobody else is. That's why you're here. So I thank you. I appreciate your commitment and continue to have a great day. Thank you, everybody. And I am on time. Woo!
You're better than on time. All right. That was awesome. Great morning. Great way to start our day number 2. So this is the deep dive day where you're going to go deep. And the purpose of this was in response to some feedback that we'd gotten that an hour and a half was great, but we need more time. We need more time to co-create and co-produce stuff. And so that was the purpose of the deep dive, is to allow that time to not just learn from each other, but then to do something with that learning. How are you going to implement it? And so the morning you're going to be doing some learning, and then the afternoon is going to be what are you doing with that learning when you go back to school in September or next week for some of you. So use that time. The e-center, so the entrepreneur stuff that you've been hearing about, the soda, the backpacks, That's a whole program. And so Jody's got a great day planned. If you haven't signed up for a deep dive yet, I'm just going to plug this one a little bit, because she's going to teach you, and with her students, how you can bring that back to your own school. How could you set up an entrepreneurship program? And even the folks that went to her workshops yesterday, she sat with them and said, okay, let's do a little Googling around your own site and what can we find. So I highly recommend that. Couple of just kind of logistics. If you have not signed up for transportation on Friday, please do so. Otherwise, it's going to be a long walk wherever you're going. We will have laser tag at lunch. If you haven't signed up for laser tag, make sure you get your team signed up. It's a lot of fun. We will also have a dunk tank available for anyone that happened to bring swim trunks that would like to, be dunked. So that's happening as well. And with the deep dive, it's the rule of 2 feet. If your needs are not being met in the space that you're in, it's your responsibility to get up, use your 2 feet, and find something else. And if you're not finding something that you want, create what you need. And we have lots of space. There's lots of people around that are happy to talk with you. So make sure that you're where you need to be to get your own needs met. And with that, you have time to get a snack, use the bathroom, and we're going to start in the dives at 9:45. So have a great morning.